Why is it that two people can earn the exact same income, yet one builds wealth while the other drowns in debt? It's not luck, it's not intelligence, and it's not about working harder. It's about how they manage their money, or more specifically, whether they mastered one critical rule. Because in the modern economy, this single habit often determines whether you end up financially free or financially trapped. This is exactly why mastering the 50-30-20 rule is the key to financial freedom, or total debt. Take Alex. He earns $65,000 a year. Not rich, but not struggling either. For years, he thought budgeting meant being frugal. He'd cut lattes, skip nights out, and still wonder where his money went. He wasn't lazy or careless, just overwhelmed. Until one day, he stumbled on a rule that changed everything. The 50-30-20 split. Instead of micromanaging every dollar, he started following a rhythm. Needs, wants, savings, simple. In less than 18 months, Alex went from living paycheck to paycheck to having 6 months of expenses saved, no debt, and his first investment account growing. Same income, totally different outcome, all because he mastered a system most people ignore. If you're tired of advice that sounds good but never sticks, this channel is for you. We go beyond tips and give you systems that actually work. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start building real financial freedom, hit that subscribe button now. Because this might be the one video that finally changes how you handle money forever. Let's kick things off with the brutal truth. Most people who think they're budgeting aren't. What they're really doing is reacting. 1 month they're tracking every coffee, the next they're overwhelmed and hoping for a raise to fix it all. This isn't budgeting. It's just financial whack-a-mole. And it's why even people with good incomes stay stuck in a loop of stress and uncertainty. Now you might hear someone say, "Oh, I know how to manage my money, I just try to spend less than I earn." But that's like saying you're a chef because you can microwave leftovers. It's not about effort. It's about structure. Here's the problem. Without a clear system, everything feels like a decision. And constant decision-making is exhausting. That's where most people give up. But what if you had a rule, a rhythm, that told your money where to go before it had a chance to disappear? That's where the 50-30-20 rule steps in. It's not some magical trick. It's just structure. Half of your income goes toward your basic needs, 30% covers your wants, and the remaining 20% builds your future through saving and investing. You don't have to track every penny, just which bucket it fits into. Think of it like organizing your closet, shirts here, pants there, socks in the drawer. You don't need to fold every item perfectly, just know where it belongs. And once you get this system in place, something amazing happens. The mental fog lifts. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start knowing exactly where you stand. This money rule isn't about being frugal, it's about being free. Free from panic, free from overdraft fees, free from the constant stress of not knowing if you'll make it to the end of the month. This is your first step toward mastering your money, not reacting to it. Now, let's talk about the next key shift, and it's one you can't afford to ignore. In today's economy, mastering the 50-30-20 rule isn't just helpful, it's survival. Think about it. Prices are up, wages are flat, and everywhere you turn, someone's trying to convince you to buy now, pay later for things you probably didn't even want 5 minutes ago. That's not just lifestyle inflation, that's engineered financial sabotage. And the scary part? It works. According to recent data, 61% of Americans still live paycheck to paycheck, even among households earning over $100,000 a year. Let that sink in. It's not just the poor who are struggling anymore. It's the middle class. It's high earners. It's people who look like they've made it, drowning in quiet debt. This is exactly why mastering these wealth creation rules is the key to financial freedom or total debt. Not knowing where your money goes is no longer a harmless mistake. It's a liability, a threat to your long-term security. Because when every dollar feels like a maybe, you lose control. And here's the uncommon insight no one wants to say out loud. Most people don't have a money problem. They have an allocation problem. They make enough, but they spend randomly, emotionally, unconsciously. And hey, let's be honest. It's easier to blame rising rent or bad luck than it is to admit that maybe, just maybe, your third Amazon haul this week isn't helping. But there's good news. This rule doesn't shame you. It just redirects you. It says, spend what you like, but know where it fits. Want the fancy coffee? Go for it. Just don't take it from your future to fund your present. Because without structure, even a six-figure salary can spiral into six-figure debt. Now let's talk about how the 50-30-20 rule actually works, with real numbers. Let's break it down. No fluff, no jargon, just a system that works in real life. Imagine you earn $4,500 a month after taxes. Here's what this rule says. $2,250 goes toward needs, rent, groceries, insurance, transportation, utilities. These are the non-negotiables, the foundation. Then $1,350 is your wants budget. Dinners out, Netflix, travel, new clothes, that upgraded phone you probably don't need but want anyway. And finally, $900 is what you pay yourself, your savings. This includes your emergency fund, investments, retirement contributions, and anything that builds your future. But here's the kicker. The system doesn't ask you to track every dollar. It just asks you to know which bucket each dollar belongs in. It's like sorting laundry. You don't need to count every sock. You just need to know darks go here, lights go there. Simplicity creates consistency. And consistency is what builds wealth. Most people fail at budgeting not because they're bad with money, but because their systems are too complicated. They start with spreadsheets, color codes, and a new budgeting app every month. Then life happens, and the whole thing collapses. But with this, it's built to last. 3 categories, clear percentages, and the freedom to adjust without falling apart. Here's a bonus strategy that most people miss. The 3-month look-back method. Take your last 90 days of spending, pull up your bank statements, and categorize everything into needs, wants, or savings. You'll be shocked. Most people who think they're saving 20% are actually saving 4% and spending nearly 40% on wants. This simple audit will show you where your money's been going and, more importantly, why you're not getting ahead. Moving forward, let's talk about the category that derails more budgets than any other. Wants. Now, at first glance, this is the fun stuff. The weekend getaways, the Uber Eats orders, the retail therapy that somehow feels like self-care. And here's the truth. This category isn't bad. In fact, it's built into the rule for a reason. Enjoying your life matters. But here's the problem. Wants are sneaky. They start small, then silently grow into a monster you don't see coming. Let me give it to you straight. Impulse spending is the reason most people never hit their savings goals. Not because they don't make enough, but because the 30% slowly morphs into 40%, then 50%, and before you know it, you're using a credit card to cover rent because that one splurge turned into 10. According to Bankrate, the average American spends over $300 a month on impulse purchases. That's over $3,600 a year that could have gone toward your future. And no, that $14 sushi roll isn't the villain here. It's the accumulation, the unconscious drift, The financial sleepwalking, let's call it what it is, wants disguised as needs. That gym membership you haven't used in 3 months, that daily coffee that's become emotional support in a cup, or the $200 investment in a standing desk you assembled once and now use to pile laundry. It's lifestyle inflation, wearing a trench coat and glasses pretending to be responsible. Here's a creative analogy. The wants category is like dessert. When portioned out intentionally, it completes the meal. But if you're eating dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, don't be surprised when your health and your bank account start to suffer. The goal isn't to eliminate joy, it's to direct it. A want that aligns with your values will fuel your life. A want that numbs your stress will quietly rob your future. Now, let's talk about the most powerful mental shift in this entire system. Flipping the savings script. Because here's how most people operate. Paycheck comes in, bills get paid, a little fun happens, and maybe there's something left over to save. Spoiler, there usually isn't. And over time, that maybe turns into a habit. Then the habit turns into a lifestyle. And that lifestyle becomes the reason you stay stuck. But what if we reversed that order? The 50-30-20 rule isn't just about budgeting. It's about prioritization. And the golden rule is simple: save first, spend later. That means the moment your paycheck lands, you already have an automatic transfer set up. 20%, gone, tucked away like it never existed. You don't touch it? You don't see it? And you definitely don't rely on it to fund your weekend brunch. This one habit, automating your savings, will do more for your financial life than any budgeting app ever could. Here's the uncommon insight most people miss. People who consistently save 20% instead of 10% don't just have twice as much money at retirement. They often have 3 times more. Why? Because they start earlier, compound longer, and avoid more debt along the way. It's the triple benefit of consistency, growth, and insulation from financial shocks. Now let's kill a myth while we're at it. Saving doesn't mean deprivation. It doesn't mean living like a monk or skipping every joy in life. It means choosing which version of you wins, the present self that wants to impress strangers on Instagram, or the future self who gets to wake up stress-free, own their time, and never beg for a raise again. Harsh? Maybe. True? Absolutely. So if you've ever felt like you're stuck saving whatever's left, it's time to flip the script. Because whatever's left is usually nothing. And your future deserves more than leftovers. Now, let's switch gears and talk about something most people avoid until it's too late. Debt. Not the kind that builds wealth. I'm talking about the kind that quietly drains it. Credit cards, payday loans, buy now, pay later schemes that sell you convenience and leave you paying triple. And this is exactly why mastering these money rules is the key to financial freedom, or total debt. Because if you don't control where your money goes, someone else will, and they'll charge you 27.99% interest for the privilege. Here's the trap. It doesn't start with big purchases. It starts with tiny leaks. That $60 dinner when you only had $40 in the wants bucket? Swipe. That surprise car repair without an emergency fund? Swipe. Those new shoes you convinced yourself were necessary for networking? Swipe. And before long, the balance creeps up while the payments stretch out. You're no longer making decisions. You're just covering damage. Want a terrifying data point? Over 60% of credit card debt in the U.S. isn't from emergencies. It's from everyday lifestyle creep. Which means people are financing groceries, gas, and Friday nights with money they haven't even earned yet. That's not just poor planning. That's compounding in reverse. Here's a simple analogy. Using credit for everyday expenses is like trying to dig yourself out of a hole. With a shovel made of sand, every scoop collapses on itself. But with the 50-30-20 rule, you build a firewall. You've already allocated for fun, for needs, and for savings. So when life hits, and it will, you're covered. You're not scrambling. You're not spiraling. And let's be real. There's a strange pride some people wear about managing their credit cards well. But juggling 12 payment dates and optimizing reward points isn't mastery. It's financial gymnastics. Real freedom is when you don't need credit to survive, when your system funds your life and credit becomes optional, not essential. Now let's talk about reality. Because as much as we love clean rules and pretty percentages, life doesn't care about your spreadsheet. It throws curveballs, new jobs, job losses, kids, side hustles, random dentist bills, and surprise plane tickets to your cousin's wedding in another country. And if your financial system can't flex when life does, it'll break. That's why the 50-30-20 rule isn't just powerful. It's adaptable. It bends without falling apart. That's what makes it sustainable. Let's say you're fresh out of college with student loans breathing down your neck. In that phase, your needs might hit 60%, especially if loan payments and rent eat up more of your check. That's okay. For now, maybe your wants drop to 20% and savings stay at 20%. You're still following the rhythm, just adjusted for your season. Or flip the script. Say you're a dual-income household with solid earnings and minimal debt. You might go 40, 30, 30, pumping more into savings to fast-track retirement, pay down a mortgage, or start a business. Here's an uncommon insight. The people who win financially aren't the ones who follow a perfect formula. They're the ones who keep adapting the system without quitting it. They know the magic isn't in precision. It's in consistency. And don't forget, extra income means extra opportunity. Got a bonus? A raise? Side hustle cash from freelancing or selling your old gear online? That's not free money. That's your fast forward button. Funnel that straight into your savings bucket or toward your goals. Want to travel next year without touching your credit card? Build it into your 20% and let future you thank you later. By the way, if you want to make all of this actually easy, we are building a tool for you. It's called the Trip2 Wealth Command Center. It's a Google Sheets dashboard that will let you plug in your income, adjust your ratio, and instantly see where your money's going, along with goals, milestones, and compounding forecasts. If enough people want it, I'll launch it soon, and there'll be an exclusive launch discount for early supporters. You can join the early access waitlist link below. The tool will cost less than one bad financial decision. And that's the point. All right, here's the final piece. Let's zoom out and understand why this rule works, not just for a month, but for a lifetime. The real reason mastering the 50-30-20 rule can lead to either financial freedom or mounting debt boils down to one word: automation. Not just in your bank account, but in your psychology. Because when the rule becomes second nature, when the split happens without thinking, you eliminate decision fatigue, emotional spending, and most of the mistakes that derail people for decades. This system works because it aligns with human behavior. It removes the need for constant discipline and replaces it with predictable flow. You're no longer asking yourself, "Can I afford this?" 5 times a day. You already know, because you've already decided. It's like a well-packed suitcase. Everything has its place. Nothing feels crammed. And you don't have to think about it every time you open it. Now here's the kicker. This isn't just about staying out of debt. It's about building real, tangible wealth. That 20% savings bucket, when directed into smart investments, grows like wildfire over time. Compound interest doesn't care about trends or timing. It just needs consistency. And consistency is what this rule gives you. You're not making one heroic, saving push. You're making hundreds of quiet, consistent moves that stack up over time. Let me leave you with a quote that captures this perfectly. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. That's James Clear. And he's right. You don't become financially free by wanting it. You get there by building systems that make it inevitable. Remember Alex from the beginning? He's not driving a Ferrari or bragging about grind culture. But his emergency fund is solid. His investments are growing, he sleeps well, and the financial anxiety that once followed him like a shadow, gone. All because he mastered a simple rhythm most people overlook. All right, let's pull it all together. These rules aren't just a budget, it's a blueprint, one that turns financial chaos into calm. You now know why most people fail at money management. They rely on guesswork instead of structure. You've seen how the rule gives you clarity. 50% to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to savings. You've learned how mastering your wants can make or break your momentum. You've seen how saving first, not last, is the move that flips the whole game. You understand why this rule protects you from debt, adapts to life, and quietly builds wealth in the background. And more importantly, you've seen the cost of not using it. So let me ask you, what will your financial life look like 12 months from now if you master this rule starting today? Will you still be guessing where your money went, or finally in control of where it's going? Because the truth is simple. Mastering the 50-30-20 rule is the key to financial freedom, or total debt. There is no neutral, and you get to decide which path you take starting right now. If you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. This was why mastering the 50-30-20 rule is the key to financial freedom or total debt. And I hope this video helped you not just understand your money, but start owning it. Stay focused, stay intentional, and never forget, strategy beats hype. See you in the next one, Money Magician.